All right, everybody, welcome back. We're diving back into the quantum world today. And
Sounds good.
you know how we've been kind of grappling with this whole quantum mechanics thing?
Yeah.
Well, today, it's all about the Copenhagen interpretation.
Okay.
And we've got some excerpts from this really cool piece that breaks it down, like wave-particle duality,
Right.
the role of the observer, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
So let's try to untangle this mind-bending world together, okay? This Copenhagen interpretation, I'm starting to realize, isn't about finding, like, all the answers. It's more about embracing the mystery,
Uh-huh.
the weirdness of reality at the quantum level.
Right.
Like, one thing that really blew my mind was this whole wave-particle duality thing. You know, the source talks about electrons, those tiny things zipping around in atoms.
Mhm.
They're like particles sometimes, but then other times they act like waves. How is that even possible?
You know, it's funny because it is one of the most fundamental, but also like the most confusing parts of quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
And the Copenhagen interpretation, it doesn't shy away from that.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, the universe is just straight up strange and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like we got to let go of all our old classical intuitions and just accept that the quantum world plays by a different set of rules, you know?
Totally. And the implications of this are huge. Like, it's the whole reason why we even have things like quantum computing, which uses superposition.
Oh, yeah.
That's where a particle can be in multiple states at once. It could, like, revolutionize everything.
Exactly.
Medicine, materials, science, like the whole shebang. It's
Yeah.
like the universe is playing a game of hide and seek, but the rules keep changing. And speaking of changing rules,
Yeah.
what about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle?
Okay.
It's like, imagine trying to photograph a hummingbird while it's zipping around. You can't get a clear shot because as soon as you focus, it's already moved.
It's true. It's like, you know, that hummingbird, it's got a definite location
Yeah.
and a definite speed,
Yeah.
but we just can't know both of those things at the same time. It's not about our instruments being bad or anything. It's just like a fundamental rule of reality.
So it's not that the hummingbird doesn't have like a precise speed and position.
Yeah.
It's just we can't know both at once.
Exactly. And, you know, the more we try to nail down one of those things, the fuzzier the other one gets.
It's almost like looking at it like influences it somehow.
You know, and this ties right back into the Copenhagen interpretation because it emphasizes complementarity. So these things that seem like contradictions, like wave and particle,
Yeah.
they're actually like complementary. They're both parts of the same reality. You know, it's this whole shift in perspective that
Yeah.
really challenges how we like to think about things, you know, like our desire for everything to be neat and predictable.
I guess so. So it's not that the hummingbird doesn't have a precise location and speed.
Right.
It's that we can't know both at the same time. It's like
Yeah.
the act of observing actually influences reality itself.
And that's where we get to the heart of the Copenhagen interpretation. It's
Yeah.
all about the observer. You mentioned wave function earlier, remember? It's like, think about it like a deck of cards, but they're all face down. Each card is a possible state of a quantum system. And before we peek, the system is in a superposition of all those possibilities.
So it's like all those cards are just hanging there, all spread
Yeah.
out in this uncertain state until we look at one,
Yeah.
and then bam. It's like you got to pick a card,
That's it.
and all the other possibilities just vanish, leaving just one outcome.
Exactly. That's the wave function collapsing.
But the Copenhagen interpretation goes even further than that, right?
Yeah.
It's not just that we're revealing reality. It's like we're actually taking part in shaping it.
That's the mind-blowing part. You know, it makes you wonder, does this mean reality is subjective?
Whoa.
Like, it depends on who's looking. That's a question that physicists and philosophers are still arguing about today.
That's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if there even is an objective reality out there, separate from us looking at it. The source seems to be saying that the Copenhagen interpretation, it leans more towards probability than certainty.
Yeah.
So instead of predicting exactly where that hummingbird will fly, we can only talk about like the chances of it being in one place or another.
It's a big shift from the way classical physics sees things, you know, everything being predetermined and all. The Copenhagen interpretation, it's saying that the universe, at its core, it's all about probabilities.
Yeah.
It's like embracing uncertainty, not as just something we don't know,
Yeah.
but as like a fundamental part of reality.
So like rolling dice.
Exactly.
We know all the possible outcomes.
Yeah.
But we can never know for sure which number will come up. It's all chance.
And this is where our everyday language starts to break down.
Right. You know, I mean, how do you even describe something that's both a wave and a particle? And it exists in all these probabilities at once. until we look at it, and then it's just one thing.
This was a really important point for Niels Bohr. One of the people who came up with the Copenhagen interpretation, he said, our language, it's all about definite things with definite properties. It's just not equipped to deal with the quantum world.
Yeah.
We need new ways of thinking, new metaphors, to even start to understand this stuff.
That makes sense.
But just because we struggle to talk about it doesn't mean it's not real,
No, it's just, I guess, highlights how much we still have to learn.
Absolutely.
So the Copenhagen interpretation, it's really asking us to let go of our need for certainty, to see ourselves as part of the experiment, and to admit that our language and our intuition, they might not be enough to really grasp the quantum realm. That's a lot to take in. So what do you think about all this? Does the idea that we play a role in shaping reality change how you see the world around you?
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? About what reality even is and what we can really know. Maybe the Copenhagen interpretation isn't just about physics, Maybe it's about the mystery that's at the heart of everything. A mystery that keeps calling us to explore, to ask questions, and to keep wondering.